of the PSP. Like, share, comment on the YouTube version of this podcast, subscribe to the channel, enable notifications to receive all the updates from these podcast episodes and all the content on the channel. Of course, follow us on social media. I'm at SitePSP on Twitter, page SitePod on Instagram, and you can listen to this on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any other podcast listening platform. Welcome to episode 89 and the Saturday episode, which is going to be from now in the magazine one, where we're going to be discussing a certain topic of point of choosing after, of course, starting with some news roundup. Join us for more. You're welcome. We're going to start now, as I mentioned, with some news, quick roundup trending around the world. And let's kick off with the matches that took place yesterday. It is Villarreal against Valencia away from home, of course, at the Mestalla, and Valencia managed to turn things around in the last 5 minutes after going 1-0 down in the first half, thanks to a Gerard Moreno penalty. Gonzalo Guedes, and before that, Carlos Soler turned things around in the last 5 minutes to make it 2-1 for Valencia, an important victory for them, and a rare occasion, really, where they go on top victorious. In the Bundesliga, Schalke drawn against the Mainz 0-0, continuing their slump in the low regions of the table, literally at the bottom of the barrel in the Bundesliga. It's a really, really rough season for Schalke that is getting just rougher. They're only now 10 points and 8 points behind both Arminia Bielefeld and Mainz. At the moment, Bielefeld and Mainz have more chance of survival than Schalke. Absolutely impossible odds for the Royal Blues. Unfortunately, the situation is just getting harder. In the CAF Champions League, of course, CR Belouizdad drawn 1-1 in the Group 3, round 3 of the Group A, of course, against Al Hilal Durman. And despite Al Hilal Durman going in front early on in the second minute, Belouizdad has equalised in the 42nd, but they missed a penalty to get all the 3 points in the last minute of the game, of course, missing on a big opportunity to go 4 points in the group ahead of the clash between TP Mazembe and Mamelodi Sundowns on Saturday. Continuing with some trending news as well, Man City... let's start from Messi, actually. Messi was named the La Liga Player of the Month in February. Of course, that nomination has been pretty well deserved. The fact that he scored already 12 goals in 2021 already, 7 goals, 3 assists on the month for him in La Liga, which could be a real sort of a great boost for him and for Barcelona, maybe for the title race in Spain, as well as winning the Copa del Rey, not exactly in the Champions League, because that seems far from their reach. In Real Madrid, still in Spain, Eden Hazard hit by another injury setback. It is absolutely, it's absolutely horrendous at the moment. Eden Hazard injured once again. The Spanish media reporting that he felt some pain in a previously injured area, which doesn't sound good for a 30-year-old who failed to get his career up on the right track since joining for Chelsea for around £88 million. That was 100 million euros. And, the series of injuries now sealing him on the sideline for a really, really long time. He only scored 5 goals with Real Madrid across his time with them, and he couldn't get enough play time, nor in the league, nor in the Champions League in particular. A return time that will be, from 4 to 6 weeks, unless he gets injured once again, which could be a big possibility. Speaking of the Champions League, Neymar's people are optimistic he will be fit to face Barca on Wednesday in the return leg of the last 16, of course. According to Paris Saint-Germain close sources, they say that things are progressing really well, and there are still 5 days to go. The potential return for Neymar. Of course, Neymar was injured in a cup game against Caen right before that first leg in the Champions League against Barcelona, and of course, Pochettino accused the coach of telling his players to go hard on Neymar. Of course, they face, prior to that game, they face Brest in the French Cup on Saturday after playing in the midweek against Bordeaux in the league, while Barca, of course, are in action in this weekend against Osasuna in the league. Speaking of Barcelona as well, and Aguero's fate at Manchester City could be going to Barcelona if Laporta is elected president. One of the biggest tasks is to guarantee that Lionel Messi stays at the club if they're going to be bringing Sergio Aguero alongside him. According to the Daily Mail, Laporta's team are weighing in the options to sign Sergio Aguero. This summer, Aguero is out of contract with Man City at the end of the season and would be able to come for free, although his salary wouldn't be cheap as well. A 32-year-old He struggled with injuries this season, hasn't had the best start of his life this season at Man City, but his friendship with Lionel Messi is well known and Laporta is considering him as a key agent. City boss Pep Guardiola, meanwhile, doesn't want to lose one of the Premier League all-time greatest ever goal scorers, but the decision is going to be in Aguero's hands. Arsenal were close to Sancho, Pulisic and Bellingham, claims ex-scout, of course. Steve Morrow said that Arsenal were close to sealing moves for the trio from currently, of course, Pulisic and Chelsea and the double Dortmund players, double Englishmen. Borussia Dortmund winger Sancho was one of the most is actually one of the most highly rated young players in Europe, having risen to prominence since his 8 million move from Man City back in 2017. Mora, who held the role of head of youth recruitment for nearly 10 years at the Gunners before leaving in 2019, claimed the Gunners missed the opportunity on the 20-year-old England international twice, once before joining Man City in 2015 and and the other time was before moving to Dortmund. Mora told Goal every top club will say they were near misses. Jadon Sancho was certainly one of those. We missed on him once he moved from Watford, he said, and went up for Man City, and then again when he reached that age and City when young players have a choice to make. Jadon felt that his future was away from Manchester and we were very, very close to signing him, but the family felt at the time that the best opportunity for him was Dortmund, and off he went. Of course, he's talking about Jadon Sancho. Family. Sancho was joined at Dortmund last summer by teenage midfielder Jude Bellingham, who completed a £25 million move from Championship side Birmingham City. Moore also claimed Arsenal were negotiating a deal for him in 2019, but when the player were contemplating a new contract at the Blues. Moore added there have been others like Sancho. Jude Bellingham was another one that is very similar to that. Also, he claimed that Chelsea winger Pulisic visited the Arsenal training ground around 8 years ago, but struggled with the physicality of other players in his age group. The American went on to join Dortmund before sealing a £58 million move to Stamford Bridge back in 2019. The winger went on to score against Arsenal in last year's FA Cup final, which the Gunners ended up winning 2-1. I mean, this is great news. This is really great news. It's incredible when you look at it, because you know, these are some of the chances that you could talk about in the future and say, we missed on a big player. Just like the fact that Barcelona missed on Cristiano Ronaldo back in the day, in 2003. And lastly, of course, we finish with some refereeing news, which is weird, but the IFAB announces that it's going to be changing the handball law again from July the 1st. The decision was reached at the AGM of football's lawmakers on Friday following a season of confusion and VAR controversy, particularly in the Premier League. The main change to the law, which will come into effect on July the 1st, is that accidental handball that leads to a teammate scoring a goal or having a goal scoring opportunity will no longer be considered an offence. The amendment means Fulham's disallowed goal against Tottenham on Thursday night, when Josh Meyer's effort was ruled out when the ball hit the hand of teammate Mario Lemina from a Davinson Sanchez clearance, should have stood. Lawmakers ruled that not every touch of the player's hands or arm with the ball is an offence. In terms of the issue of the hand or arm making a player's body unnaturally bigger, it was confirmed that the referees should continue to use their judgment in determining the validity of the hands or arm's position in relation to the player's movement in a specific situation. Now, the clarification in full is like this. It is a handball offence if a player accidental handball that leads to a teammate scoring a goal or having a goal scoring opportunity will no longer be considered an offence. Also, there was discussed in the virtual meeting the ongoing trials of a concussion substitute. It was confirmed the decision to launch the concussion substitute trials are based on the strong recommendation of the concussion expert group, which consists of leading medical and football experts who closely examine the applicability of best practices in other sports to football. The members also received updates from FIFA and potential adaptations to the offside law and the latest development concerning innovations related to video assistant referees (VARs) that could could enable competitions with more limited budgets to use VAR technology, which is absolutely good news and music to my ears as a Tunisian, because there have been rumours and murmurings that VAR is going to be used here, and the fact we don't have a great infrastructure to accommodate for it. To be fair, that's it for the news. Let's get into our topic of discussion now, and moving on, of course, as I mentioned earlier on, it's the magazine episode. Then let's discuss Man City on the back of 21 victories in a row, of course, the 21st of which was against Wolves in the midweek it is just incredible to talk about Man City. And of course, everyone is saying now, or asking at the very least, are they the best team in the world? I mean, they're quite really there. I mean, you cannot deny that they are one of the best, and like top 3 in the world, clearly. If you're going to be probably making a ranking at the moment, Man City, Bayern Munich, I mean, I certainly, even as a Bayern fan, I really believe that Man City now are better than Bayern, at least in a better form maybe, or better overall consistency than Bayern, who as of late haven't been themselves in the league, going out of the cup. It doesn't really make sense for me to be that unbiased against my team. But seriously, Man City are one of the best teams in the world at the moment, if not the best. But this is also a question that comes with a caveat: how we can judge that they are the best in the world. Like, we judged Bayern they are the best by completely routing their way through the Champions League last season, right? That is the way we judged Bayern on their performances. That's the way we said that Bayern are the strongest in the world, because if they didn't do so, almost certainly we would have been crying over the fact that they won an easy league in the Bundesliga, and also they won in the Cup, and certainly the third title would have been a Super Cup in Germany. So that is not exactly that's not exactly the most reasonable of discussions to have. So the metric was the Champions League, but I think, for natural reasons, the Premier League differs from that, and the Premier League is different competition, different animal, a different kind of, atmosphere, circumstances, also, of course, schedule, work, rhythm as well. So you cannot really judge City, even if they only end up winning the league this season. You cannot only judge them by that. You need to go deep into the conversation, you need to see their season, and the season started bad, by the way. And to go from losing 5 to Leicester City and going from being really, really, really unbelievably, underwhelming and, completely average, I would say, in the start of the season, going to 21 wins in a row, and an incredible turn of the year, really. Like, it's the events that, that took place since the turn of the year, the 21 victories in a row in all competition. It looks like, it looked at a certain point that Man City are unbeatable, which is, I think, a feeling that everyone is going to be having. Rightfully so. Why won't feel the fact that Man City are unbeaten, 21 wins in a row, the scoring goals are plenty, they're keeping clean sheets, they're not exactly giving away much for the other clubs to attack them. So you expect a side like Man City to be named the best in the world. However, the focus is, what is the metric? What is the judgment we want to do, or we want to apply to Man City, if we're going to say that they are the best team in the world? Because their form, if judging on form, on wins, on losses, on number of goals scored and conceded, the discussion is going to be, nowhere near debatable, really. And we all want to know, we all want to see, the only thing we want to see, really, is Man City versus Bayern in the final of the Champions League, to see out who's the proper best team in the world, right? So, if we're judging on form, 21 wins in a row, you cannot even debate it. A team that gets 21 wins in a row in all competition cannot just be cannot just be the best team in their league. Certainly has to be the best team in the world, and at least top 3, top 5 best teams in the world. And considering the players that they have, it's no surprise. The Ruben Dias signing has improved their life and improved their sort of fortunes a lot in the season. It changed them. The partnership with Stones, even with Laporte, is getting better. Even when he, sort of rotates the defenders and plays with Laporte and Stones when Dias is not available, or Stones and Dias, or Laporte and Dias, it's the same efficiency really in the back. It's the same way. They still give the same performance. Mostly they would keep a clean sheet, even when they concede goals, and they did for the last couple of games, really. It's on some rare occasions where they get caught, really. Not exactly because defenders or attackers beat them, or because they are bad at defending, or because the team defended badly on open play. Set pieces and long balls. It could creep to them in the future, but at the moment, they're really doing superb. And ahead of a big derby at Manchester United, it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to be approaching the game, And will they get the 22nd victory in a row? I mean, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would love to break that record against him and would like to have a feather on his cap of some sorts of saying that he broke the record of Man City and, slowed down their momentum a little bit. Although, realistically, nothing going to slow down Man City from winning the title. So, the Champions League is going to be the biggest metric to judge Man City on. I mean, I'm really convinced with that because we judged them on their league metric and they've been strong in the league, don't get me wrong. For the last couple of years, for the last 3 to 4 years, they've been so strong in the league that it's impossible to imagine any other side doing, anywhere near as good as them or as Liverpool in the last couple of years before, they completely collapsed this season. So, the thing is, if they don't win the Champions League, then all of the praise that we gave them and all the praise that everybody's given them is probably going to go to smoke because they're going to be disappointed, the fans are going to be disappointed, and it's going to be a very, very sort of it's going to be sort of a frustrating thing for the Man City fans. And certainly it is, and rightfully it is. It is frustrating for some fans to see the club that everybody's praising as the best in the world, having some of the best players. I don't want to name names, but really, the squad speaks for itself. They still have, they have the likes of Gundogan, De Bruyne, Mahrez, Bernardo Silva, all of these silky players that, play some of the best football you ever see. And watch them fail in the Champions League each season is quite disappointing and frustrating. And the Man City fans will not take it. They will definitely not take it. It will be... It's frustrating. And it gets frustrating each passing year because... that it's no fault of the players mostly. It's a fault of Guardiola in the biggest part of it. Although he found a great formula this season to success. He became more pragmatic, I would say. He became more realistic about his game, which is something I really liked about Guardiola. And I think one of the biggest factors in this sort of rejuvenation of Man City since the turn of the year, the fact that he became realistic, the fact that he understands what he does now, the fact that he found a form that suits him really, really well. The fact that he found a style of play without a striker mostly, with Aguero being injured for most of the season, Gabriel Jesus not being exactly the efficient striker that Guardiola needs him to be, playing with no striker, the likes of Gundogan, Foden, Mahrez, Sterling, De Bruyne, all of these players exchanging the role of the false nine, of the shadow striker, and doing it really well, to be fair. Gundogan in particular. What a season he's having. Also, it's a transformation, a personal transformation for him. Injuries, then he was, if you forget about that, he was struck with COVID early on in the season in that, outrageous outbreak that everybody thought Man City are not getting back from that. The COVID-19 is going to be, surging through the club. There will be fitness problems, there will be issues with injuries, but no, the team held itself together and basically pulled it off through hell and fire and brimstone. And again, for Gundogan in particular, it's incredible run. He's been on a great run, 11 goals. He's the top scorer for Man City, and that shows you how effective the non-striker sort of situation and formation for Guardiola is. Finding the best out of every player. Even, Joao Cancelo also, a player that deserves mentioning. He practically plays as everything. He's the respect as well. He's with respecting the comparison, and of course, trying to conserve the places and the situations. He's a bit like Kimmich in Bayern. He's everything. He plays everything. He's right back. He plays as right mid. He plays as left back. He suits every position that he can play into. And seriously, he went from Juventus, and Juventus took Danilo from Man City. You just can't script that. You just can't script that. It's so stupid from Juve to give away someone like Joao Cancelo. They didn't know how to use him. You give him to Guardiola, he knows how to employ him, and he gets the best out of him. And for someone like Guardiola, he's now one of his biggest assets. I would argue that maybe an absence for Joao Cancelo through injury, or a long spell where he gets injured, I think it's going to be even worse than De Bruyne getting injured, or Jesus getting injured, or Aguero getting injured. That is just how important Joao Cancelo is for that team. He in some matches, they don't find solutions. And it happens. In some matches, they don't find solutions, and Joao Cancelo is the one to break the line, is the one to make that final pass, to make that final run, to open spaces for the players, and to make the crosses. If you don't believe me, just rewatch the game against Mönchengladbach, or watch the highlights of the game against Mönchengladbach. I mean, forget the fact that he gave the assist for the 2 goals, but also the fact that he moves a lot. And he moves in the right places, and people who watch his way of play and watch the games of Man City lately would say, but he's moving out of position. He's really moving into the right and moving centrally too much and trying to get in the way of play. He didn't. He is allowed to by the fact that City dominate the ball for most of the time, and gets higher up the pitch and get further up the pitch all the time, and that is why Joao Cancelo is allowed to tuck in, and almost Man City look like sort of a 3 in the back kind of thing, with Rodri dropping between the centre halves, and you have Zinchenko and Cancelo playing almost as wing backs. Like, shape shifting is really, really good at Manchester City at the moment, and this season in particular they do it really well. Like the last couple of seasons, that's what have been costly for them. Not changing shape really well, not adapting to changing shapes. This season, it is different. They play without a striker. They play with, Cancelo. They play with Cancelo in the middle, drops in, tucks in, does a lot of, there's a lot of good stuff for Man City. He helps them a lot with the runs, with the crosses, the passes. Again, his movement is superb. Linking up is amazing. And whomever is on his side, whether he's a right back or a left back, benefits a lot from his support, because he can pull defenders, he can pull the fullback of the opponents with him, and allows the winger to run inside the space, whether it's Sterling or Mahrez or Bernardo Silva or Phil Foden or whomever's going to be playing on that wing. He allows him to make the runs. Personally, to wrap this up, I would certainly love to see a Man City versus Bayern Munich final, to just see out who's going to be the better of the two this season. Certainly Bayern Munich are going to be picking their form back. And speaking of that, of course, they face Borussia Dortmund in their Klassiker today, which is going to be always an interesting game to watch. Definitely, there are going to be questions over whether Borussia Dortmund actually could do it. And of course, if you want to know what I think about that, check out the previous episode, of course, which is the weekend preview. You can check it out here. Check out all the episodes if you want to. Finally, I want to say, at the moment, and considering everything, considering the form, considering the performances, the results and everything, I consider Man City the best team in the world. Undoubtedly, no doubt about it. But we'll wait and see what is going to happen in the Champions League. We'll wait and see how they're going to be performing in the rest of the season. Could they drop points between now and there? Yes, maybe, but I think it's going to be mostly draws, because with the form they're in at the moment, with the effectiveness they're in at the moment, it's almost impossible to beat them. That's it from me for this episode. I was your boy, the HD of the PSP. Like, share, comment on the YouTube version, subscribe to the channel, enable notifications to receive all the updates from these podcast episodes and other content on the channel. And of course, follow us on social media site PSP on Twitter, PSP Pod on Instagram. And until the next time, I'll be seeing you soon. Goodbye.